My brand new course, Photography for Beginners, Sunrise in Mexico, will teach you exactly how to get out at sunrise and come back with photos you love, all told in plain English. It includes real footage of me photographing an actual sunrise in Mexico with an entry-level camera. Find out more at rickmcavoyphotography.com/courses. That camera in your bag or on your wish list, it can do a lot more than you think. Let me show you what it's really capable of. If you're thinking about buying your first camera, chances are you've already taught yourself out of it at least once. I can't justify spending thousands of pounds on a professional camera. Now, does this sound familiar? And I completely understand why people think that. Photography can look intimidating. The gear looks serious. The prices of professional cameras, they're eye-watering. And the photos you see from professional photographers online, they can make you feel like you need an enormous budget just to get started. But here's the thing. Good news, dear listener. You don't need a small fortune to get started. I've spent 40 years in photography, 20 of those as a professional photographer. I own a Canon 6D with professional grade lenses. That's quite a modest camera on its own, to be honest with you, when you look at other stuff out there. But recently, I took an entry-level Canon R100 with the kit lens it comes with, and nothing else, on a holiday to Mexico. I didn't take my Canon 6D with me. So this is all I used for 2 weeks, a Canon R100 and the kit lens it comes with. And the photos I came back with, guess what? They are genuinely beautiful. That camera cost me less than £500. The kit lens came in the box, and that was it. So today I want to answer the question that I think might be sitting in the back of your mind if you're thinking about buying your first camera. What can an entry-level camera really do? Properly, honestly, realistically, what is it actually capable of? And the answer might surprise you, dear listener, so let's get into this. Hello, and welcome to episode 229, blimey, of the Photography Explained podcast. This episode is titled, What Can an Entry-Level Camera Really Do? A very good morning, a very good afternoon, or a very good evening to you, wherever you are in the world and whatever time of day you find yourself listening to me. I'm your host, Rick. Hi. And in each episode, I try to explain one photographic thing to you in plain English in less than 27 minutes-ish without the irrelevant details. Yes, really. I'm a professionally qualified photographer. I've already told you that, haven't I? Based in England with a lifetime of photographic experience, which I share with you in my splendid podcast. Okay, let's get straight into this. Let me start by being clear what I mean by an entry-level camera. I'm talking about a camera like the Canon R100, the Nikon Z30, or Z30 as we say in England, or the Sony ZV-E10. Snappy names, aren't they? These are cameras that sit at the starting point of the mirrorless camera range. These are cameras that cost somewhere between £350 and £600. These are cameras that most manufacturers bundle with a basic kit lens. These are the beginner cameras that a lot of people dismiss as just not being good enough or just being a beginner camera, as if that's somehow a problem. It isn't. And I'm going to prove it to you with 7 things that an entry-level camera can genuinely do brilliantly. If you've just listened to episode 228, How to Know If You're Ready to Move from Phone to Camera, and decided that yes, you are ready, then this episode is the natural next step. Yep, it's as though I've planned this, isn't it? And if you've already got your first camera, episode 225, I just got my first camera, what do I do in the first week? Is waiting for you after this one, and that proves that I haven't planned this, have I? Because I wouldn't have started with episode 225, would I? But this podcast, it evolves over the episodes. It's not one of those rigidly structured things where I've got episodes planned out for the next year. Things come out in episodes, and I want to expand on them, and they give me things to talk about. So that's why it's a very organic process, my podcast. Right, I need to get back on track, don't I? Let's talk about what cameras can actually do. Tip 1. An entry-level camera can produce genuinely excellent photos right out of the box. This is the one that surprises people most. They expect entry-level camera to equal entry-level results. That is not the case. Modern entry-level cameras have sensors that, even just a few years ago, would have been considered excellent sensors, very, very capable. The image processing technology inside them, it's extraordinary. And when you combine good light, a steady hand, a decent composition with an entry-level camera, you can produce photos that are genuinely beautiful. Now, I know because I've done this. I came back from my 2 weeks in Mexico with images taken on my Canon R100, and I put 12 of them on a portfolio on my portfolio page. So check them out at rickmcavoyphotography.com/portfolios. The 12 photos taken with the Canon R100, they're there for you to see. There's landscapes, travel, sunrises, all shot on an entry-level camera with a kit lens. So don't confuse entry-level with limited. The camera will not hold you back. Not yet, not for a long time. If you haven't got a camera and you're thinking about it, the only thing holding you back is you. And I'm happy to repeat myself. I have put the proof on my website. It's there for everybody to see. Photos taken with a Canon R100 and kit lens. Right. Tip 2. The kit lens. It's a much better starting point than you think it might be. Yep, kit lenses, they've got a reputation problem. Photographers talk about upgrading from the kit lens as if it's some kind of rite of passage. And yes, of course, better lenses do exist, of course they do. But the kit lens that comes with your camera is genuinely capable of excellent results, and more so now than ever, I would suggest. Now, a typical kit lens, it covers a useful focal length, often something like 18 to 45, which is what I've got with my Canon, or 18 to 55mm. They're very popular focal lengths. And that's wide enough for landscapes, buildings, group shots, and tight enough to isolate a subject nicely. It focuses quickly, it's light to carry, and it doesn't cost anything extra because it came in the box. So stay with it, learn it, get to know what it can and can't do. You'll know when you've outgrown it, and by that point you'll also know exactly what you want to replace it with. That's a much better position to be in than spending money on a lens you don't yet understand or need. Don't forget the crop factor though. With my Canon R100 we multiply the focal length by the crop factor, which is 1.6. So my 18 to 45mm kit lens is really a 28.8 to 72mm lens. Yes, this is a limitation, but it's manageable if you know about it. And 28 to 70 is a very popular focal length range in the Canon professional lens range, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, you just need to be aware of it. Point not in my prompts here. Start with the kit lens. Yes, you might outgrow it really quickly. You might. But you'll learn how you're outgrowing it by using it. And I'll give you an example from me. See, a 28mm focal length, that's not wide enough for what I do. And I really felt it. So I want to get a wider focal length lens for my Canon R100, which I'm going to do. But I had to use the kit lens to know that. If you've never used the camera before, you've got no way of knowing these things, have you? You have to start with something, so start with an entry-level camera and kit lens. It's a great starting point. Tip 3, program mode is a perfectly valid way to shoot. This matters. This is important. You do not have to shoot in manual mode to take great photos, and don't let anybody tell you that. Not when you're starting out. Possibly not ever. It depends what you're photographing. I don't use manual mode unless I have to. The only time I use it is if AV mode isn't working for me. That's the only time I use it. However, it's important you know how to use manual mode. That's one for another time. Program mode, which has probably got a P on the camera mode's dial, it's an intelligent automatic mode. It makes sensible decisions about shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, as I learned with my Canon R100. Based on the light. It gives you a starting point that's almost always usable, and it frees you up to think about the composition, the light and the subject rather than faffing around with camera settings. Faffing around with camera settings, it can really kill a photo shoot. It can make it a horrible, complicated mess. So give yourself a break. Let the tech help you. I used program mode extensively during my Mexico sunrise shoots. It handled the rapidly changing light brilliantly. I made adjustments when I needed to, not often enough as it turns out, but as a starting point it was excellent. But there is a word of caution here. Keep an eye on the settings the camera is choosing. During my Mexico shoot, I didn't notice that I was shooting with my aperture at f4.5. The reason I didn't notice because I was talking to the camera because I was recording the shoot. And and in the course I said, and the aperture is f4.5, and I just said it as a point of fact and didn't think, oh, I shouldn't be using that. That's because I wasn't concentrating on taking the photos. I was concentrating on doing a training video. So that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. So be aware of what the camera's doing. And yes, that's me who's been doing this for over 40 years, made that beginner's mistake. So be aware of what your camera's doing. Use program mode, but glance at the settings so you know what the camera's doing, what it's picked, and change it if you want to, because you can do that in program mode. Tip 4, it handles low light significantly better than your phone. This is one of the genuine, real-world advantages of moving from a phone to a camera, sensor size. An entry-level, mirrorless camera has a sensor that is physically much larger than the one in your phone. Well, you'd expect it, wouldn't you? And a larger sensor gathers more light. And this means in low-light conditions, like pre-sunrise, shooting indoors, evening shots, photographing a dark room, a camera produces noticeably cleaner, sharper results than even a very good phone camera. Phone cameras are clever, they're amazing, but they use computational tricks to compensate for small sensors. Now, they do a remarkable job, but there are limits, and low light is where those limits show most clearly. Your entry-level camera will outperform your phone in low light. It's not even close. Talk about making a big grand statement that puts me out there to be shot at, metaphorically of course. Tip 5, a tripod unlocks a whole new level of what's possible. This isn't just about entry-level cameras, it applies to all cameras. But if you're starting out, this is one of the best investments you can make alongside your camera. A tripod gives you stability. That stability allows you to use slower shutter speeds without camera shake. Slower shutter speeds allow you to shoot in lower light without raising your ISO and introducing noise. They also allow you to do creative things. Silky water, light trails, long exposures, and of course they're dead handy helping you take great photos of a sunrise or a sunset. And for my sunrise photography in Mexico course, yes really, the tripod was important. And I use an Amazon Basics tripod. It cost me £20. Yes, really. So your entry-level camera on a basic tripod, in the right light, it can produce images that look absolutely professional. So don't underestimate the combination. By using a tripod with an entry-level camera, you're probably setting yourself above what most people using entry-level cameras are doing. Tip 6, auto exposure bracketing helps you handle tricky light. Auto exposure bracketing, it's a feature that entry-level cameras have that most people don't know about or use. It's also called AEB. The Canon R100 has it. What it does is, it's incredibly clever, but it's also quite simple. Instead of taking one photo, the camera takes 3. One at the exposure it thinks is correct, one slightly darker, one slightly brighter. You end up with 3 versions of the same shot at different exposures. So why is this useful? Well, taking photos that are, say, 2 stops underexposed and 2 stops overexposed, it gives you a wider range of light and dark tones than you can capture with a single image. It took me 3 times to say that. Merge them together later in editing, and you have much better results. I do this all the time. And it's there on your entry-level camera waiting to be used. Yes, it really is. And that is what I did. Tip 7, a big, bold claim. It will make you a better photographer. Yep, people don't expect me to say this, but I mean it completely. A phone camera makes decisions for you. A camera asks you to make them. If you use the right mode, that is. And that process of making decisions, that thought process, thinking about what you want, thinking about your camera settings, adjusting them and analysing those results, this is exactly what turns someone who takes photos into someone who creates photos, a photographer. Entry-level cameras are not dumbed-down cameras. They have full manual control available when you want it. They let you shoot in RAW format. They have proper autofocus systems. Real viewfinders, very important. Physical controls that your hands can find without looking at a screen. Every time you use your camera, you learn something. Every time you look at a shot and think, what went wrong there? Or you think, how do I do more of that? You're improving. The camera is the thing that starts this process. I learned a huge amount using the Canon R100 in Mexico. I really did. And I've been doing this for over 40 years. That's the thing about photography. There is always something new to take in, and that is worth a great deal. And much less so if you're using a phone rather than a camera. It's just how it is. Quick recap. Right, let's just run through what an entry-level camera can really do. 1. It produces genuinely excellent photos right from the start. 2. The kit lens is a better starting point than its reputation suggests. Just be aware of the crop factor and any limitations specific to that lens. 3. Program mode is a completely valid way to shoot, but keep an eye on the settings the camera is choosing. 4. It handles low light significantly better than your phone. 5. Pair it with a tripod and you unlock a whole new range of creative possibilities. 6. Auto-exposure bracketing helps you handle tricky, high-contrast light by giving you a wider tonal range to work with. 7. And perhaps most importantly of all, it will make you a better photographer. Let's see what comes out of that one. The camera is not the limiting factor here. You are, and that's a wonderful thing because it means the only way is up for you, dear listener. What if I use a phone to take my photos? Well, everything in this episode is relevant to you, isn't it? Because this episode is really about what happens when you make the move from a phone to a camera. So if you're shooting on a phone right now, you've already got a very capable device. The jump to an entry-level camera, it's not about leaving something bad behind. It's about adding something genuinely different, something genuinely better that will give you more opportunities. Yep, things that an entry-level camera does better. Low light performance, manual controls, the discipline of making your own decisions, every photo being a conscious, deliberate act rather than just lifting up your phone and touching the screen and getting another photo that lives in your camera roll. These are things that push your photography forward once your phone has taken you as far as it comfortably can. And if you're not sure whether you're ready to make that move yet, I'd suggest heading back to episode 228 first. How to know if you're ready to move from phone to camera. I think that'll do the job, won't it? What do? I've told you what I do. I took a Canon R100 to Mexico for 2 weeks. I left my Canon 6D at home, and I was fine doing that, I really was. And I shot exclusively with an entry-level camera and its kit lens for the entire trip. The honest answer is that the camera was better than I expected. Not because my expectations were low, I know cameras, of course I do, but because the Canon R100 is a genuinely capable bit of kit that handles real-world shooting conditions very well. I used program mode a lot, I used auto-exposure bracketing at sunrise, and I took my sunrise photos with my camera on my £20 tripod. I prefer taking photos with my camera on a tripod. It slows me down and helps me to get better compositions. And having my camera on a tripod means I can also enjoy the sunrise I'm photographing, which is very important to me. It takes a lot of the stress out of things because I'm only after one capture, one composition, and I've already got that set up. So when the sun rises, I'm just stood to the side and just pressing the shutter button happily whenever I want to. And just to close out on this one, I came back with a set of images which I'm genuinely proud of, which are there on my website for you all to look at. So what I've proved is that you can get great photos with an entry-level camera. Nice and simple, isn't it? And you can do the same too. You just need to do it. Right, here's something for you to do, dear listener. If you're still deciding whether to buy your first camera, check out those photos, rickmcavoyphotography.com/portfolios. The Mexico images are on there and my other portfolios. But sticking with the Mexico photos, every one of these photos were taken with the Canon R100 and kit lens. So have a look at them, then ask yourself whether an entry-level camera will help you to produce photos you're happy with. And when you've worked that one out, feel free to let me know what you think. It'd be lovely to hear from you. Related episodes. If this episode has got you thinking, here are some more episodes from the back catalogue that will help you go deeper. Episode 228, How to Know If You're Ready to Move from Phone to Camera. Episode 225, I just got my first camera. What do I do in the first week? Episode 106, blimey, going back in time a bit there. Program mode, what is it, and is it okay for me to use it? Episode 160, what is auto-exposure bracketing? And episode 60, what is a kit lens? I think I've covered everything nicely there, haven't I? All in the back catalogue, check them out. Go to the podcast page on my website and you'll find all the episodes listed there. Well, on the episodes page, that is, sorry, but there is a link to it from the podcast page. Next episode, well, it's changed. It's just changed, so subscribe and you'll find out what's coming next in 2 weeks. Talking of which, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And for everything else, check out rickmcavoyphotography.com, where you can ask me questions, get my weekly email, and you can get in touch with me. And you can also text me directly from the podcast feed, which is utterly marvellous. And you can find me on YouTube just by searching Rick McAvoy. And there's my courses page, /courses, my resources page, /resources, which are pages I'd like to point out to you which take you in all sorts of splendid directions. This episode was brought to you by a cheese and pickle sandwich which I consumed before settling into my homemade acoustically cushioned recording emporium. I've been Rick McAvoy. Thanks again very much for giving me 27-ish minutes of your valuable time. Now, I reckon this episode will be about 24 minutes long after I've edited out the mistakes and the bad stuff, because there is quite a lot on this one, because I've found it's been one of those days when I've not been at my polished best. So, some editing to do for me. Thanks for listening. Take care. Stay safe. Cheers from me, Rick. If you want to start taking stunning sunrise photos, and why wouldn't you, check out my Photography for Beginners Sunrise in Mexico course at rickmcavoyphotography.com /courses.